welcome to the stage our next storyteller, Lisa.
Couldn't wait to see this light. So a few years ago, I began picturing the empty nest I would share with my husband when our 3 children would finally be gone. And I had this light bulb moment where I realized, this marriage isn't gonna last. And I began obsessing about this thought and just realizing we were already so disconnected that we were unlikely to make it until the nest was empty. And I was very distracted by this and operating in a fog and doing a lot of really dumb things. And, they say distractions cause accidents. So I usually think of cars and texting or, operating heavy machinery. But I hadn't really thought about an oven. So this one night, it was early December, and given my state of mind, all I could muster for the family dinner was leftovers. And this wasn't like the reheating of one of my lovely balanced meals I usually make, because I do cook, I swear. But this was leftovers of the lowest kind. Me rooting through the fridge, the mishmash of a bunch of partially eaten takeout meals I had tossed into the oven to warm up. Because right then, what I fed my family seemed less important than was I going to break up my family. And would this be our last Christmas together? And that made me think of Christmas shopping, and that I hadn't bought any Christmas gifts for my kids yet, which sent me off to the computer to do some online shopping and Googling what do teenagers like and randomly throwing things into my cart. And that's when I smelled something burning. And but I was trying to get through the checkout process, so I ignored the smell. But it got worse, and finally I went, and turned out the culprit was a couple of slices of pizza I had put in there. Or more specifically, the box that the pizza was in. Before anybody judges me for putting a box in the oven, I want to say I have many times put a pizza box in the oven, and it is totally fine as long as you put it on a low heat setting. Unfortunately, this time, it was a very high heat setting, so where it touched the side of the oven, the box was smoldering. But, no problem, a little water will fix it, so I grabbed the box, carried it to the sink, poured the water on. And a second later, I see this flash of light come from inside the box, and I realize I had not considered the oil that was in there. And a moment later, the entire thing combusts in my hands, and flames shot up to the ceiling, licking the sides of the cabinets, dangerously close to my face. And I thought, oh, hell no. I might be breaking up the family, but I am not burning this house down. So I just knew I needed to get this thing outside. But how I was going to get through a closed door while holding a pillar of fire, I didn't know. And that's how the kids described what they saw when they came running after hearing the alarm and me yelling, open the door, which one of them did. And I ran through the kitchen, leaving, the box started to disintegrate, so I'm leaving this trail of fire. And when I get outside, it's a horribly windy night, and there's just dry December leaves blowing everywhere. And I think if I throw it in one direction, I'm going to burn down my garage. And if I throw it in the other direction, it's going to catch the leaves and go out to the street, to the neighborhood. And just then, my husband, who was in the garage doing something, comes out and sees me holding fire. And he just starts yelling, throw it, throw it. And I couldn't, because all I could think of was the Great Chicago Fire and Mrs. O'Leary and her cow who kicked over the lantern. And I did not want to be responsible for burning down my entire neighborhood. But I was running out of options, so I tossed it down the driveway, and it just splintered into a million separate fires. And at this point, the whole family's out there, and we're all stamping out all the fires, and I'm stamping it out with my little pot holders. And then I remember I have left a trail of fire inside the house. I should go take care of that. So I run in and I'm stamping them out with my pot holders and get to the last one. And that was when the pain hit, because these pot holders only came to the ends of my hands. And I had just burned both of my wrists really badly. So I ran upstairs and just let the cold water run over my wrists for the longest time. And I could hear them downstairs taking the remains of the dinner out, and my husband serving it, because why waste such a terrific meal? And I know he thought he was helping me, but I thought help would come in the form of bandages, aloe, a trip to the ER, or even just peeking in to see if I was okay, but that never happened. And so that night, I carried a bucket of ice water, put it at my bedside, tried to sleep, but the pain was too much, and also the surety of where this was headed. The story of the Great Pizza Box Fire is one my kids love to tell because they think it's hilarious. I have a different memory of it, and I also have some scars on my wrists that remind me of a difficult time in my life, and also sometimes two things don't belong together, like hot oil and water.
Give it up for Lisa.